Hi, this is Gordon of October Library here. Before I begin with the book review today, I'd like to discuss some things I have planned for this channel and the Facebook group of the same name. If you haven't seen it yet, I have posted a trailer for a bunch of cyberpunk novels that I'll be reading, starting with William Gibson's Neuromancer and a whole bunch of others. While I was going over the trailer, I realized I forgot some other books that I could have mentioned, such as Ready Player One and Akira, but I'll save those for a future book review video. And I also plan on reading some more horror and action novels as well, and that's about it. Without further ado, let's begin with the book review today. Today, I'm talking about the anthology of Hotter Blood, More Tales of Exotic Horror, edited by Jeff Gabb and Michael Garrett. This was published by Pocket Books in 1991, and out of the 24 short stories, 9 of them I liked. The rest were I didn't either like them, a bit off the mark, or weird, as this one story by Stephen Gallagher, The Device, which is a really weird story, but anyway. Here are the 9 stories that I like the best out of this anthology. Oh, and spoiler alert, as I will be revealing the endings to these short stories. Nocturnal by John L. Byrne. Living in a luxury apartment in New York City, Edelman, a salesman, becomes obsessed with a Texas model named Rachel McNichol. While he has small talk with Rachel, Edelman knows his chances of hooking up with her are low. He buys all the magazines that feature Rachel on the covers or articles that talk about her. Edelman begins stalking her when she goes on jogs, watches her going into stores across New York. Her favorite is an old bookstore, which Edelman finds the answer to get closer to Rachel without her knowing about it. Buying an old spell book called Nocturnal, Edelman learns how to become a ghost and is able to roam anywhere he wants while naked. Using this dark magic, he visits Rachel while she sleeps naked on her bed. At first, he touches every part of her body, then his sexual urges grow stronger with him having sex with Rachel. While she feels this, however, no matter what Edelman does to her, Rachel can't be woken up from it. But over time, Edelman's sexual fantasies get worse, from rough sex to tying up Rachel to full on raping her. He gets a kick out of talking to Rachel, saying she feels tired and doesn't look well. However, she states each time she wakes up, her bedroom smells like a hospital. Edelman finds this odd, but continues to do his sexual fantasies on Rachel. Then one night, when Edelman plans to have sex again with Rachel, however, when he sees her having sex with another man, he becomes furious and at first thinks of pulling her out of her bed and giving her a good beating. But seeing this stranger gives him a better idea. When Rachel's boyfriend leaves, Edelman ties her up, then stabs her to death with a knife from the kitchen. When the residents burst down the door after hearing her screams, they are horrified to find the once beautiful model, Rachel McNichol, is brutally murdered. Edelman watches as police begin looking for evidence for Rachel's killer, thinking they'll suspect her boyfriend as the killer, as he was the last person seen with her. However, his plan backfires when he overhears Lieutenant Shaw stating the fingerprints on the rope, knife, and bloody handprints over the wall don't match Rachel's boyfriend, and the footprints are way too big, and they all smell the hospital odor, meaning that someone else was the killer. Edelman is then shocked when his spellbook has betrayed him, and when he looks at it, it's now the Fisherman's Bible, meaning the police are going to find out he was the killer. The Tub by Richard Lehman. Joyce, who's all by herself feeling bored as her boyfriend Harold is away in New York after winning the Brian Stoker Award for his horror novel. In the mood for sex, Joyce calls up Ken, a tall, very handsome and beefy guy, telling him that she wants Ken to check her temperature with his big thermometer. Ken, however, is worried that Harold might catch them having sex, as he almost got caught. But Joyce states that Harold is a pushover. Ken is a bigger, stronger guy than Harold. And if he did catch them in the act, she states that Harold would blush and walk away. Ken asks Joyce to make sure that her boyfriend has reached the hotel he's been staying in at New York. She doesn't. She just waits for a few moments to call Ken and tell him to come over for some fun. While waiting, Joyce wants to spice up things with Ken in this fancy tub that her boyfriend owns. It also has a lot of mirrors around it, creating the illusion that there is more than one person in the tub. The backstory of this house that they live in is the woman killed herself in this old-style tub by slitting her wrists. Joyce shuts off the light and lights up several candles around the bathroom, fills it with hot water, and waits for Ken to show up. When he does, Ken is fully naked and has covered his muscular body in oil, and his cock is fully hard, which really turns Joyce on. After some teasing, Joyce wants Ken inside of her, but Ken is worried she might drown her. But she keeps saying, "Fuck me already." While a tight fit, Ken is able to give what Joyce wants, but during the final thrust, Ken smacks his head against the light bulb, then collapses with Joyce banging her head off the tub. At first, Joyce thinks Ken is playing a sick joke on her, but she realizes that Ken is dead and is unable to get out of the tub because of his body weight. However, things go from bad to worse as the candles begin to fade out. Ken's dead body is releasing all of its gases, and Joyce has no choice but to relieve herself while stuck in the tub. Joyce's sanity is slowly slipping away as she envisions Ken being reanimated as a zombie, talking to her and wanting to get back where they left off. When Harold does return home, he is shocked to see his girlfriend trapped under a dead body. Joyce orders him to get Ken off of her, which he replies, "Ciao," and then leaves. He spends a full week in Maui enjoying the hot weather, eyeing the beautiful woman, and reading the horror stories his friends wrote. But when Harold returns back home, he is disturbed to find Ken's body has been eaten with limbs lying on the bathroom floor. He vomits at the sight of it, then is horrified to see his girlfriend covered in blood while holding a piece of Ken's jawbone. Unable to move, Joyce approaches closer to Harold and tells him that the house now belongs to her, but Harold can have the tub. The Picture of Health by Ray Garton. Carol Dunphy went to see Daryl Hawk playing live with his new rock band after being given a concert ticket from her mother. While Christian, however, her mother understands how she likes Hawk after being a fan of his first band, Birds of Prey, back in the 80s. However, after writing and recording 40 hit songs, Hawk dropped off the face of the earth with rumors stating he died from AIDS. But it seems that Daryl Hawk is still playing like he used to back in the old days. Just when Carol thought her day seeing Hawk live couldn't get any better, a security guard comes over to her after show, stating that Hawk would like to see her backstage. At first, Carol thinks it's a joke, but the guard insists that he really wants to see her. So while waiting in the dressing room, feeling so excited to see her favorite rock star in person, but she keeps reminding herself if she does have sex with him to wear a condom, for not only in fear of getting infected, but for sinning for not wearing protection. Hawk begins coming on to her, which she blushes at the sight of his handsome naked body. Unable to fight the urge for sex, she gives in as Hawk charms her, stating wearing a condom is like wearing a raincoat in the shower. And after popping the cherry, Carol can't help herself for enjoying the wonders of sex, but still fears of becoming pregnant. Hawk invites Carol to stay in his fancy mansion in Beverly Hills. He gives her money to spend on anything she wants, has a limo take her any place she wants to go, or lets her drive any of his cars that Hawk owns. While there, Carol sees a lot of music awards, platinum records, and many pictures of Hawk posing with other musicians. However, there is one room which Carol isn't allowed in. Not even Hawk's butler will tell her what's in that room. But each time she has sex with him, Carol is seeing people, both women and men, covered in sores, bad skin, or worse, looking like zombies. Each time she sees them, they all ask her the same question: have you been tested? Or do you know what he hides in that room? After another night of sex, Hawk gives Carol money to go shopping while he's heading out for a meeting with his record label for a music video shoot. She takes his Corvette but is unable to do any shopping as she keeps seeing these horrible people, yet nobody else can see them. They then all corner her, telling Carol that Hawk has used them for his sexual pleasures, and if Carol doesn't break into that room and stop Hawk, she'll end up like them. During the night, Hawk comes into the bedroom to have sex. Carol makes up a lie that she's sick, and he leaves her to get some rest. Once he's gone, Carol finds a key and unlocks the door to his secret room. Inside, she is shocked to find a room surrounded by thick black candles, upside down cross with Jesus bleeding on the altar. and above it is a horrifying yet disturbing painting of Daryl Hawk. In this image, he isn't the handsome, charming rock star that Carol knows. Instead, he's a monster with eels for arms, a frightening face, and an eel-like cock, all while giving Carol a sickening feeling. Hearing Hawk coming, she quickly locks the door, then uses a candle to burn the painting, which causes a glass case to break and knocking Carol down. Hawk bangs on the door, pleading with her not to destroy the painting, stating he won't harm her. She refuses to listen, picking up a piece of the broken glass and uses it to cut the painting apart while tearing pieces of it. Hawk's screams become demonic, with the mansion shaking. When Carol has fully destroyed the painting, she hears his butler outside of the door. When Carol opens it, she sees Hawk, looking a lot older, uglier, covered in sores. He then vomits and releases his bowels all over the floor as his body is getting thinner and pale. Then his body begins to age away till it bursts into flames. Carol, along with the butler, are able to escape from being burned alive. 2 weeks later, Carol visits her mother, which she is thankful to see that she wasn't harmed in the fire, fearing she might have lost her daughter. However, Carol informs her mother that she's tested positive for pregnancy. Change of Life by Chet Williamson. Leonard Drew checks into the Ramada Inn Hotel to take a load off while waiting for a very hot woman he met earlier that day. Leonard has a special way of charming people because he understands them and is very skilled in reading body language. While removing his yellow tie, he is annoyed when a young boy, Tommy, is trying to open Leonard's door, thinking it's their room, while hearing his parents telling him that's not their room. Leonard scares the boy by making bear noises. However, after that, Leonard can't stop thinking about that boy and wants to eat him. During that night, he is unable to sleep because of these thoughts. Leonard suddenly feels his whole body change into a bear with the thoughts of fine boy. Putting on his tie and leaves his room and walks towards where the family is staying. When Leonard tries getting in, the boy's father asks his son who's at the door, to which Tommy replies, just a man. This causes Leonard to change back into a human and fights off the urge to eat him. Leonard returns back to his room fully naked before anyone sees him. Later that night, the woman Leonard met at the bar is having sex with him. She's really enjoying it, stating, "You're an absolute stud bull." Leonard then transforms into a bull and his body weight causes the bed to break. He realizes that there was such a thing as being too adaptable. Demon Lover by Nancy A. Collins. Sina, a young attractive woman who's bored and her relationship with her boyfriend Mike is going downhill. Needing to get out of the house, Sina leaves and walks to a bar, hoping a beer and the loud thrashing music will take her mind off her troubles. Just as Sina reaches the bar, she sees a very tall, handsome, and muscular man with beautiful blue eyes and blonde hair. Normally, Sina isn't drawn to men with blonde hair, but for some strange reason, she can't stop staring at him. Trying to fight the urge, she enters the bar and gets herself a beer and listens to the thrash metal band playing. Suddenly, Sina realizes that the blonde man is sitting next to her, and he too is drawn to her. The man asks Sina, "Like something you see," to which she replies, "Everything." The two leave and go into an alleyway where Sina learns the handsome stranger's name is Farrell. The moment his hands touch her body, she can't resist the urge of sex. Kissing each other while Farrell feels every inch of Sina, and his big cock begins to press against his pants. Sina remarks Farrell's skin is smooth as glass. Just as they're about to get it on, Sina stops Farrell, stating it wouldn't feel right having sex next to a dumpster. However, Farrell isn't annoyed with her and gives her a spare key to his hotel room and says, "I'll be waiting for you." Sina returns home trying to repair her relationship with Mike, but she can't stop thinking about Farrell. She leaves and returns to the bar, but is disappointed with the older men around. With a few younger ones, they don't have the same good looks as Farrell. Sina can't stand it anymore and goes to the hotel where she finds Farrell waiting for her. They don't waste any time stripping out of their clothes and getting back to where they left off, but Sina notices that Farrell doesn't have any nipples or navel. She then is amazed when he turns into a humanoid snake man. Sina isn't alarmed or frightened by his transformation. She's turned on even more, especially when Farrell teases her nipples with his snake tongue. That night, Sina has the best sex she's been hungering for. Later on, Sina is seen bringing a man into the hotel to have sex with. While the man is getting himself comfortable on the bed, Sina locks the door and Farrell appears out of his hiding place. Farrell wraps himself around the man, crushing his body till he can't breathe. Cena strips him out of his clothes while Farrell devours his body as Cena takes his money while throwing anything they don't need into the dumpster. It is hinted that Cena had her boyfriend Mike murdered with Farrell working as a pair of serial killers. Cena is also looking forward to meeting Farrell's family as the two plan to be with each other forever. To Have and to Hold by Gary Brander. Harry Croft is in the middle of having sex with his wife Lillian when there's a knock at the door. Harry tells his wife he'll be back, but she doesn't say anything, claiming she became a mute after an accident when she fell down the stairs. Harry moves quietly so he doesn't wake up his two children, Justin and Kimberly. When Harry answers the door, two detectives, Sergeant Erotic and Detective Ash, who are investigating the disappearance of Harry's wife along with his two children. Harry tells both men that they should give up after not finding her or the children for 30 days. However, both men find it odd how calm Harry is with no emotion on his face. When they leave, Harry shuts the door and turns to the living room where he remembers his wife, Lillian, having a mental breakdown as concerned family members were worried that she would snap one day. Harry remembers the horrible moment when Lillian murdered both her children with an axe, and in a fit of rage, Harry pushed her down the stairs to her death. Harry quickly returns to his bedroom and gets back to having sex with his wife, moaning his wife's name. The two detectives burst into the bedroom, believing they heard her name, but they stare in shock and horror, seeing Harry Croft having sex with his dead wife, and her nipple has been torn off her decaying body. Cruising by Lisa W. Cantrell. Danny leaves his house on a cool October night to take his new gray Jaguar XJ6 out for a cruise. Danny loves his new car and doesn't care what anybody else thinks about it. While driving and listening to heavy metal music, he imagines Karen touching his body while Danny touches hers in his Jaguar. When Danny reaches the mall to pick up Karen, however, when he gets there, he is angered to see Karen with Brad in his red Camaro. Danny follows them to a lover's lane and becomes furious. He revs his car engine to scare Brad and chases after him until he causes Brad to lose control and crash his Camaro. When Brad tries to escape, Danny runs him over as his body is crushed under the cold, hard pavement. It is revealed that Danny lost a race against Brad during high school and crashed his mother's Chevette at the bridge and has been planning to get back at the man who took his woman. Danny pulls Karen out of the wrecked Camaro, pleading him to stop as he makes his way to the Jaguar's back seat. The Best by Paul Dale Anderson. Gordon is at the racetrack and places a bet on a horse. While waiting for the race to begin, he spots a gorgeous woman, and she's got everything that a man dreams about a woman. Big breasts, wide curvy hips, big thick butt, long blonde hair, and pretty blue eyes. Gordon is drawn to this woman, but is surprised when she approaches him and asks him if he would like to have sex with her now. Gordon agrees as the two head back to her place for some fun. However, this woman has brought another man with her, which Gordon is shy of having sex with another person with her. But this woman begs him. She wants two men having sex with her. This other guy is ready and teases Gordon to the point which he wants to prove he can do it. The next day, Gordon is being questioned by Lieutenant Ralph after the other man is found brutally murdered. While Gordon remembers everything up to the point where he's about to get it on with this woman, he can't remember what happened the night after or the other guy. Ralph goes to the bar and something is bothering him about this case. He has heard about it 100 times, and the police haven't found a clue to who's behind these gruesome murders. His partner, Earl, asks him about the case, but Ralph doesn't want to talk about it. Earl then asks Ralph about his new wife he got married a few weeks ago. Again, Ralph doesn't want to talk about it. Earl begins teasing Ralph and stating if his wife is wearing him out, he can handle her, which leads to a fist fight with Ralph getting hit in the gut. Feeling bad, Earl takes Ralph home. However, when he gets there, Earl meets Ralph's wife, Helen. When Earl gets closer to her, he becomes drawn to her and is unable to resist the urge of having sex with Helen. Ralph begs Earl to go home because he knows who's behind these murders, but Ralph is too late. Once Helen reaches her climax, Earl explodes over the bedroom with his guts, organs, and flesh splatter over the wall. Ralph tries to kill Helen, but misses, only shooting Earl's head, which Helen uses her powers to knock Ralph out. When Ralph wakes up, Helen is with him, stating she loves him and nobody else can be the best but him. Ralph asks Helen if she won't go out tomorrow. She replies, "Not tomorrow, but maybe the next day." The Splicer by Don DeMassa. Scott owns and works at the Modesta Cinema, running the projector. On each month, Scott shows different themed films to those who pay to watch old classics, from monster flicks to comedies, science fiction, and horror films. However, over the course of a week, Scott notices something is changing scenes from the films. At first, it's characters touching women's breasts or women becoming topless or nude, to scenes of full-on sex and even rape or beatings, which would make these films X-rated. However, nobody else notices these changes. Only a young boy seems to notice a scene has been altered. However, when Scott looks over the film reel, he doesn't find any of these scenes that have been changed. Scott becomes paranoid that someone else will see it and report his theater showing porn versions of the films, which might get it shut down. During one night, Scott keeps records who visits his theater, and each time a person leaves, he crosses them off if the film is still being altered. At first, Scott thinks it's the little boy who's been doing it, but learns one person who keeps visiting his cinema the most, Chuck Chessel. Scott approaches him and after a film is over and states that he wants to talk to him tomorrow at his apartment, which is 6 blocks away from the theater. When Scott enters Chuck's room, he sees that Chuck is a big fan of science fiction, with lots of novels on the shelves and magazines, even has figures of aliens, monsters, men in space suits, along with a model of the Enterprise. Scott confronts Chuck on what he's been doing with his films, stating if anyone else notices, it could get him in a lot of trouble. Chuck is unable to deny his actions and confesses that he has the power to change scenes in films with his mind. Scott then hatches an idea that can make him a lot of money with Chuck's power and promises him to give him a fair share of the money. When Chuck refuses to Scott's plan, which he threatens to blackmail him by telling everyone he's gay, which Chuck replies, "I'll do you just like I did my old man." Suddenly, Scott's body changes into a woman and is held down by the blankets. Chuck states that films aren't the only thing he can change. Scott is horrified to see Chuck grinning at him while holding a knife while removing Scott's jeans. And those are the 9 stories I like best out of the anthology Hotter Blood. Usually I don't read anthologies as I don't like a lot of the stories that much, but this one had some really good ones. My personal favorite out of those 9 stories is The Tub, which was a really interesting story and had a lot of dark humor in it too, which I really enjoyed. And I would really like to check out more short stories by Richard Lehman and maybe some of the other authors I read too, see if they have any other interesting short stories that I like from this anthology. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. And on Sunday, I'll post a video review on the crime thriller novel Opium, and I will begin reading the next 2 novels I have planned, Snow and Neuromancer. And don't forget to check out my Facebook group, October Library, a group where you can post, share, and review fiction. Until next time, I'll catch you all later. See ya.